Good morning, everyone, especially to our professor, Dr. Belladonna Cortez. To my fellow classmates, good morning. I am Early Babor, your reporter for today. My topic is all about quantitative and qualitative research. Since we have already an idea what is research in the past reporter, this time I am going to differentiate quantitative and qualitative research. When we say quantitative research may be defined as the systematic, empirical investigation of social phenomena using tools of mathematics and statistics. The term quantitative emphasizes that this type of research involves quantification or measurement and usually involves numbers. Quantitative research uses quantitative methods, and these terms are often used interchangeably. One of the most popular techniques for collecting quantitative data are through surveys. Now, let's identify what is qualitative research. When we say qualitative research, it is collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data by observing what people do and say. So, qualitative research is subjective and uses different methods of collecting information, including individual in-depth interviews and focus groups. The nature of this type of research is exploratory. So, through explore, you can gather different data. Now, the question is, what is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? Their difference is that when we say quantitative, it is a survey question, it is numerical or a measurable data. While qualitative research, it undergoes interviews, question and answer portion, based on personal perception that represents how they respond in a certain situation. That's the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. Now, let's proceed to the types of quantitative research. Quantitative methods can be used for different types of research. We have descriptive research, correlational research, comparative research, and experimental research. First is descriptive research. When we say descriptive research, it is generally concerned with investigating, measuring, and describing one or more aspects of characteristics of one or more groups. So, this type of quantitative research, it is useful in answering research questions that describe with measurement, like those start with how many, how much, how often, how long. That's the descriptive research. So for example, a grade school principal and central school is interested in understanding the habits of the student in different level inside the campus. So she might ask the homeroom teachers to survey the parents of their pupils on how the pupils spend their time in a week. So, based on the answers, the principal can learn about the average time that the students in each grade level spends on homework, projects, watching TV, playing computer games. So, that is the example of descriptive research. Now, let's proceed to the second types of quantitative research. We have a correlational research. Correlational research studies the relationship between two or more characteristics of one or more groups. So, it can verify or disprove a systematic relationship between two characteristics or variable. So, we have the positive and negative result. So, positive relationships. When we say positive relationships, means that high values of one variable. And negative relationships means that high values of one variable corresponds with low values in the other. So, I have here an example. For example, a grade 6 advisor is interested to know whether the time spent by his pupils playing Mobile Legends affects their grades. So the advisor can perform a test to determine whether there is significant relationships between the number of hours spent by his pupils playing mobile games and the quarterly grades of students in different subjects. So through that, the teachers can have a result or can gather a data whether it has a positive or negative result towards to his students' grade. Positive relationships in that situation means that the more hours the pupils spend on mobile games, the higher their grade becomes. So a negative relationships means that the more hours a pupil spend playing mobile games, the lower their grades becomes. So, and through that, the teacher can conclude whether the effect is positive or negative. Now, let's proceed to the third types of quantitative research. So, the third types is causal comparative research. So, when we say comparative research, it compares one or more measurable characteristics of two or more groups to find the similarities and the differences between them. So the result of a comparison can be used to generate insights about the characteristic of both groups. As well, it can be determined the possible underlying causes of these similarities. So, this kind of quantitative research, we can conclude that what would be the reason why it happened. For example, you are handling a section, but as what you have observed, the section perform differently. So, section performing well compared to those other section. So, you decided to collect information about their socio-economic background, their study habits. Because we all know that it can affect also to the performance of the students is being collected. The information you've gathered can be compared to see if there are differences between the two sections, or in that way you can have the result why they perform differently. So as a teacher, he conduct a survey to prove or to have a result why his section performed differently. To the last type of quantitative research, we have the experimental research. So, experimental research, it is the most familiar type of research designed for individuals in the physical sciences and a host for other fields. So, this is mainly because experimental research is a classical scientific experiment. So, this kind of quantitative research, to have a result, you need to undergo an experiment. Here, an example of a experimental research. So, two samples of the same plant. One of the plant is being exposed to the sunlight, while the other one is being kept away from the sunlight. Let's observe. So, let the plant exposed to sunlight be called will be our sample A. And the plant that was being kept away, that plant is a plant B. So after the experiment or the duration of the research, we find out that the sample A grows and the sample B dies. So in conclusion, the sunlight will aid a growth in all similar plants. So, that is experimental research. Thank you for listening and I hope you've learned something. Bye-bye!